The new home for me is like a new beginning, closer to the college, closer to the girls' church. I see a lot of future there, which is really great.
The cameras are rolling, and Robyn Brown is painting us a picture-perfect fantasy. This $2.1 million Flagstaff property is being presented as a brand new chapter, a second chance, an opportunity to finally establish permanent roots. She's practically beaming as she describes being nearer to the girls' church and the college. Kody's agreeing with everything, acting like the devoted family man who simply wants room for everyone to come together. It sounds wonderful. It's also entirely fictional. Let's look at the actual numbers. Since Sister Wives first aired in 2009, Robyn has relocated 8, possibly 9 times in 15 years. Calculate that yourself. That works out to a different address every 2 years, sometimes even faster. The longest period of stability, those Vegas homes from 2012 to 2018. And even during that time, the family had already broken apart before they put those houses up for sale. So when Robyn stares into that camera and discusses fresh starts, you have to ask yourself which fresh start she means. The Street George apartment? The first rental house? The second? The third? Here's what makes this most recent move especially fascinating. Just last week on the show, Robyn herself acknowledged that wherever you go, you take your pain with you. Her precise words were that you can't really start over. You can purchase a new place, but it's never truly a fresh start. So which version of Robyn should we trust? The one who recognizes that changing locations doesn't heal emotional wounds? Or the one currently promoting this mansion as some sort of miraculous reset button? The purchase itself creates questions before we even examine the property. They employed the same realtor who listed their previous home to also work for them as buyers on this one. Double dipping, as they call it in real estate. One agent getting commission on both ends of the transaction. It's entirely legal, but it does make you question whose interests were really being protected in this deal. Because this house, it's been passed around more owners than a bargain lot vehicle. Constructed in 2002, it's switched hands 5 or 6 times already. 3 of those ownership transfers occurred since 2018 alone. For a luxury property in Flagstaff's housing market, that's not typical turnover. Attractive homes in sought-after neighborhoods don't bounce between owners like a hot potato, unless something's driving people away. The property remained on the market for a considerable amount of time before Robyn and Kody came in. The previous 2 groups of owners didn't even make it their full-time residence. They treated it as a rental property, a vacation home, a secondary residence. This hasn't functioned as anyone's primary forever home in well over a decade, possibly longer. It's been a constant rotation of temporary owners who were eager to hand it off to the next purchaser. So what precisely did Robyn and Kody just buy for over $2 million? What's concealed behind that fresh start advertising pitch? The property appears gorgeous in photographs, isolated and private, everything you desire in a mountain getaway. But appearances can be misleading, and this house is about to expose some secrets that make the frequent owner turnover suddenly make complete sense. Let's examine the property records and trace the evidence trail, because this house has a narrative to share. Constructed in 2002, it initially sold in 2009, then once more in 2012, then Kody and Robyn bought it in 2024. That's 5 separate owners for one luxury home in barely over 2 decades. Now, if you've ever purchased or sold real estate, you understand that's not normal. Luxury homes in locations like Flagstaff don't usually bounce between owners like they're unwanted. People who can afford $2 million properties generally settle in for the long haul. They renovate. They landscape. They transform these houses into their lasting family homes. A property switching hands every few years sends a clear message to anyone who's paying attention. Something's causing people to leave. The house sits at the end of a cul-de-sac, literally a dead end. From the street perspective, it appears like the ideal private sanctuary. The type of location where you'd picture raising children, hosting holidays, creating those treasured family memories Robyn keeps mentioning. The square footage is substantial at 5,500 square feet. The architecture photographs wonderfully. On paper, it fulfills every requirement for the Brown's supposed needs. But here's where things become fascinating. The most recent owners before Kody and Robyn, they owned it for 4 years and treated it as a second home. The owners before that, also a second home. Going back through the documentation, this property hasn't functioned as anyone's primary residence in well over a decade. It's been a rental, a vacation property, a place people own but don't actually want to inhabit full-time. Consider what that signifies. Multiple families with the financial resources to own this as a secondary property decided not to make it their main home. They maintained their primary residences somewhere else and utilized this beautiful, spacious house as overflow, as an escape, as an investment property to rent out to tourists who'd stay a week and depart. There's another detail that stands out when you examine photos over the years. When the house was initially constructed, the exterior was a light tan color. Soft, neutral, standard for the region. But at some point along the way, someone made the choice to reside the entire structure. Now it's a dark reddish brown, nearly the color of rust or dried clay. It's a significant change, the kind that typically happens for a particular reason beyond simple visual preference. The location appears perfect at first look. Nestled into the landscape, mountains in the distance, that Arizona high desert beauty everyone appreciates. But if you open up Google Maps and really examine the surroundings, you'll discover something. Behind the property, beyond that cul-de-sac, beyond the backyard, there's something that doesn't fit in a residential neighborhood. An industrial site, active, operating, and about to clarify why this gorgeous house can't seem to retain owners for more than a few years at a time. Here's what sits roughly a quarter-mile behind Robyn and Kody's new forever home, Sheep Hill, an active volcanic cinder mine. Not a historical landmark, not a dormant operation someone might eventually convert into a park. An actual functioning industrial mining operation that operates trucks, excavates rock, and runs during business hours like any other commercial business. This mine is one of several long operating cinder pits in the San Francisco volcanic field east of Flagstaff. They extract red and black volcanic cinder, the porous rock formed from cooled lava, and sell it for landscaping, construction materials, and road surfacing. It's a legitimate business serving a real market demand. The issue is when you choose to raise your family a quarter-mile downwind from the excavation site. Sheep Hill has been operating for decades as part of a cluster of pits in this volcanic field. These aren't small boutique operations. They're industrial-scale extraction sites with heavy machinery, screening equipment, and constant truck traffic hauling material in and out. The type of operation that creates noise, dust, and all the environmental consequences you'd anticipate from literally crushing and transporting tons of volcanic rock. Now, let's pause and recall something significant about Robyn and Kody Brown. These are the identical two people who couldn't risk COVID exposure because Robyn gets pneumonia easily. The same couple who kept the family separated for months because Solomon had RSV as a child and they worried about respiratory complications. They established strict protocols, they restricted contact with other family members, they made respiratory health the foundation of their pandemic response. And now they've bought a home within breathing distance of an active mining operation that generates airborne dust as part of its daily business model. The irony is so obvious you could cut it with a bulldozer blade. Miss I Get Pneumonia just relocated her family to a location where the air quality is affected by industrial dust particles on a regular basis. The woman who couldn't risk a family gathering during COVID is now raising her children where volcanic ash particles are a documented environmental concern. This isn't guesswork or dramatic exaggeration. The Arizona Department of Environmental Quality and Coconino County Public Health Service District have records, complaints, documentation. Residents in this neighborhood have been reporting problems with dust, truck noise, and particle exposure from Sheep Hill and the surrounding pits for years. This is established, documented, ongoing community knowledge. Anyone doing appropriate due diligence before buying a $2.1 million home would have uncovered this information.
Well, I got to run to my next appointment.
Okay.
I want to say thank you guys for having me over. I think these are much more important conversations to have in person, and thanks for having me. And
thank you.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Cool.
Excited.
Let's get you out of here on time,
Okay,
and
thank you.
We'll be in touch.
A capable realtor would have disclosed it. A basic Google search of the address combined with environmental concerns would have revealed the history. But somehow, Robyn and Kody ended up purchasing the property anyway. That gorgeous reddish-brown siding that replaced the original light tan, it's almost the exact color of the red volcanic dust that comes off the mine. When you compare photos of the mine's output with the house's current exterior color, they're nearly matching. Coincidence? Or a practical choice by previous owners tired of seeing red dust coating their light-colored home? Let's discuss what volcanic cinder mining actually does to the air surrounding it. When you're crushing and moving volcanic rock, you're not dealing with harmless dust. You're releasing tiny particles that include PM10, which is inhalable dust, and PM2, 2.5, the fine particles that travel deep into lung, tissue where they can cause genuine damage. Even though volcanic cinder is mostly inert rock, the dust contains silica and trace minerals that irritate and inflame lung tissue on contact. This isn't just theory. Health studies conducted in areas near cinder mining operations have documented chronic coughing, bronchitis flare-ups, and asthma complications in residents.
Initial draw with the new house is it's a new beginning, and it's a place for my kids to come to. But it's almost like a start over. I need a place for Truly that is sort of like her room.
Long-term exposure in sensitive individuals can contribute to COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. There's also documented connections to cardiovascular stress and declining lung function, even in people without existing conditions. The vulnerable groups? Children, older adults, anyone with asthma or autoimmune disorders. Basically, the exact populations Robyn claimed to be protecting during the pandemic. Here's what makes the Browns' property especially exposed. The prevailing winds in this area blow west and southwest, directly toward the residential zone where their house sits. They're not next to the mine with wind patterns carrying dust away from them. They're positioned exactly where nature delivers the airborne particles on a regular basis. Homes within a half-mile of the mining operation experience dust accumulation on outdoor surfaces, reduced air quality during peak operating hours, and lower resale value because buyers doing their research discover the proximity problem. The Browns' property checks all these boxes. They're in the impact zone whether they want to admit it or not. Even with windows closed, these particles infiltrate HVAC systems. Residents near the mine need high-efficiency air filters and frequent duct cleaning just to maintain decent indoor air quality. Some homeowners in the same area have reported reddish dust buildup around their outside air returns. Clear proof that particles are getting inside the home's ventilation system. The high, dry, windy conditions that make Flagstaff beautiful also make the dust problem worse. Particles travel longer distances in this climate. A quarter-mile buffer doesn't provide the protection you might assume. The dust plumes generated during excavation, screening, and truck loading can reach residential areas easily, especially during Arizona's notorious wind events. So picture this scenario. You've spent months separating your family over respiratory concerns. You've restricted contact with relatives. You've established strict protocols about who can visit and under what conditions. You've made lung health your top priority in every family decision. And then you buy a $2.1 million home, where the environmental reality includes regular exposure to industrial dust containing silica and trace metals known to irritate airways and contribute to chronic respiratory conditions. The contradiction isn't just ironic, it's medically confusing. Either the COVID respiratory concerns were exaggerated for drama, or this property purchase represents a shocking failure to protect the very health issues the family claimed were so critical. You can't have it both ways. Miss I Get Pneumonia just moved into an environment that threatens the exact health vulnerabilities she spent years citing. Remember the pandemic protocols? The family gatherings that couldn't happen because Robyn's respiratory system was too fragile?
There's a lot of strained relationships amongst me and my adult children, so this house is simply a new opportunity to invite them here and to potentially enjoy their company here. Even if it's in some kind of fantasy, I just want to be able to say, hey, there's space for you.
The careful distancing, the isolation, the strict rules about who could see whom and under what conditions. Solomon's RSV history became the reasoning behind keeping the family separated for months. Robyn's susceptibility to pneumonia meant COVID exposure was simply too dangerous to risk. Christine wanted to see her kids. Janelle wanted family time. But no, the health risks were too severe. Robyn couldn't take chances with her lungs. Solomon couldn't be exposed to potential respiratory viruses. The stakes were too high, the danger too real, the medical vulnerabilities too serious to compromise on safety. Fast forward to 2024, and those same health concerns apparently disappear when a beautiful property catches their eye. Volcanic dust infiltrating your HVAC system? Not a problem. PM2, 5 particles that reach deep into lung tissue? Totally fine. Industrial operations generating airborne silica within breathing distance of your children? Sign the papers. The mental disconnect is staggering. You can't spend years claiming respiratory vulnerability so severe it justifies family separation, then willingly move next to an environmental hazard known to cause the exact conditions you claim to fear. Either the pandemic concerns were overstated, or this property purchase represents a shocking disregard for the health issues that supposedly drove so many family decisions. Let's be clear about what living near this mine actually means for daily life. Those high-efficiency air filters residents need, they're not optional decorating choices. They're necessary equipment to prevent the microscopic particles from circulating through your home's ventilation. The frequent duct cleaning isn't about being fussy. It's about removing the buildup of volcanic dust that accumulates inside your HVAC system, even when windows stay closed. Previous homeowners changed the exterior siding color from light tan to reddish brown for a reason. That red powder gets on everything. Outdoor furniture, cars, windowsills, any surface exposed to the elements picks up the distinctive coloring of crushed volcanic cinder. The decision to reside the entire house in a shade that camouflages the dust suggests prior owners got tired of seeing their light-colored home constantly coated in red film. Children and individuals with respiratory sensitivities are the most vulnerable to this type of particle exposure. The very demographics Robyn spent the pandemic years protecting are now living where the air quality is compromised by industrial mining operations. Solomon, whose RSV history justified so many COVID restrictions, is now breathing air that carries volcanic ash, silica, and trace metals known to irritate airways. The prevailing winds don't take breaks. They blow west and southwest toward the residential zone consistently. There's no schedule where the dust conveniently avoids the property during family dinner or bedtime. It's a constant environmental reality of living in that location. Miss I Get Pneumonia just moved her family into a situation where maintaining clean indoor air requires specialized equipment and ongoing maintenance. The woman who couldn't risk COVID exposure is now raising her children where documented health complaints about dust and particle exposure have been filed with county health services for years. Make it make sense. Now let's talk about Kody's big lie, the one he delivers straight to camera with all the sincerity of a used car salesman. He's sitting there telling viewers this house will have space for Truly, that she'll have her own room, that this is about creating a place where all his children can visit and feel welcomed. It's touching. It's also mathematically impossible. The main house has 4 bedrooms. Not 5, not 6. 4 actual bedrooms with closets and appropriate bedroom configurations. There's also an office space that technically could be converted into a bedroom, but let's talk about what that really means. Here's the bedroom breakdown. Master bedroom for Kody and Robyn. 1 bedroom for Solomon, 1 for Ariella, 1 for Brianna, 1 for Aurora. That's 5 people needing 5 bedrooms, and the house has 4. Someone's already getting bumped that office space before we even consider Truly. That office sits off the main floor, right near the kitchen. If you've ever lived in a house where a bedroom is located off high-traffic common areas, you know exactly what that means. Noise in the morning when people are making breakfast, noise at night if anyone's up late, a large window for privacy concerns, and most tellingly, no closet. You'd need to bring in a freestanding wardrobe or install wall-mounted hanging systems. It's not an actual bedroom, it's a room being forced into bedroom duty because the house doesn't have enough proper sleeping spaces. The 6th sleeping area is in the detached guest house, which has 1 tiny bedroom, a small living area, and a minimal kitchen and dining space. That's almost certainly designated for Dayton, who at 25 years old gets his own private apartment setup, while Kody claims there's room for Truly somewhere in this configuration. Let's compare this to the home they just sold. That property had 5 bedrooms plus an office. This one has 4 bedrooms plus an office. They actually downsized in bedroom count, while Kody's on camera talking about creating more space for family gatherings and accommodating children who want to visit. The irony cuts deeper when you remember Kody doesn't even have custody of Truly. She doesn't visit this house. She's not part of their regular household. So he's making this statement on camera about providing space for her when the basic math proves it's impossible, and the custody reality confirms she wouldn't use it anyway. This looks like storyline fabrication designed for cameras, possibly to influence court perception or public opinion. Look at me, I bought a house with room for Truly. Except he didn't. He bought a house with less bedroom space than before, in a layout that prioritizes Robyn's adult children staying indefinitely, while there's literally no viable bedroom for his daughter with Christine. The 5,500 square feet sounds impressive, until you realize most of that space is devoted to common areas. Multiple living rooms, a huge great room, a beautiful but space-consuming staircase, 2 separate dining areas, lots of bathrooms. The house is designed for entertaining and visual impact, not for actually housing a large family with diverse needs. It's a vacation rental layout masquerading as a family home, which makes perfect sense given its history. Walk through this house with honest eyes, and you'll see it's designed for Instagram photos, not family functionality. That sweeping staircase? Gorgeous. Also consuming square footage that could have been additional bedrooms. Those multiple living rooms? Great for entertaining. Not so great when your adult children need actual private sleeping spaces and you're claiming to have room for visiting kids. The layout screams vacation rental, and that makes perfect sense given the property's history. When you're designing a space to host tourists for a week at a time, you maximize common areas. You create impressive gathering spaces. You prioritize the wow factor of large rooms where groups can congregate. You don't need 5 or 6 private bedrooms because vacation renters don't typically care about everyone having completely separate sleeping quarters. But when you're actually raising a family, when you have adult children still living at home, plus claims about accommodating visiting children from other relationships, the priorities flip. You need legitimate bedrooms with closets, privacy, and appropriate placement away from noisy common areas. You need functional spaces, not showcase rooms. The 2 dining areas sound luxurious until you remember this is supposedly a family home, not a bed and breakfast. The huge great room is beautiful. It's also square footage that could have been 2 additional bedrooms if family accommodation was the actual priority. Every choice in this floor plan reveals what mattered to the designers and previous owners. Visual impact and entertaining capacity, not practical family living. That detached guest house adds intrigue but not real functionality for a large family. 1 small bedroom, tiny living space, minimal kitchen and dining. It's clearly meant for Dayton, giving Robyn's 2 5-year-old son his own private apartment setup. Meanwhile, where exactly is Truly supposed to sleep when she visits? Oh, right, she doesn't visit and there's no room anyway. Here's where the double standard becomes impossible to ignore. Aurora is 23, Brianna is 22, Dayton is 25, about to turn 26. These are the exact ages Gabe and Garrison were when Kody was actively trying to push them toward independence, suggesting they should be out on their own, creating tension around their continued presence in family spaces. But Robyn's adult children, they get a $2.1 million house purchase specifically designed to accommodate them indefinitely. They get bedrooms in the main house. Dayton gets his own apartment. The entire property is structured around making sure they have space to stay as long as they want. The contrast is devastating for anyone watching who remembers how Kody treated his children with other wives at similar life stages. Gabe and Garrison needed to launch to become independent to stop relying on family resources. But Aurora, Brianna, and Dayton apparently need a luxury home with ample space so they never have to leave. This isn't a house purchased with family reconciliation in mind. It's not a property designed to welcome estranged children back into relationship. It's a home structured around Robyn's priorities, her children's comfort, and a lifestyle that accommodates exactly the family members who already have Kody's full attention. Everyone else gets camera-friendly lies about how there's space for them when the floor plan itself reveals the truth. Let's zoom out and see this purchase for what it really represents. A crystal clear picture of whose needs matter in Kody Brown's world. The math isn't complicated. Robyn's 3 adult children, all in their 20s, get a multi-million-dollar home with space specifically allocated for their continued residence. Kody's children with other wives got pressured to leave, got criticisms about their independence, and got tensions around taking up family resources at the exact same ages. Gabe and Garrison were expected to launch into adulthood, to become self-sufficient, to stop depending on family support. But Aurora, Brianna, and Dayton, they get expanded living space, private accommodations, and a father figure who centers home purchases around ensuring they never have to leave. The favoritism isn't subtle. It's architectural. Then there's the Truly situation, which adds another layer of deception to this whole purchase. Kody sits in front of cameras and talks about buying a home where Truly will have her own space, where she can visit, where there's room for her. He's performing for an audience, possibly performing for court records, creating a narrative about being a father who's making efforts to accommodate his daughter. The floor plan exposes that performance as pure fiction. 4 bedrooms for 5 people already living there, an office that's barely functional as sleeping space, and a detached guest house designated for Dayton. There is no room for Truly. There never was. This purchase wasn't made with her in mind, despite what Kody says on camera. And here's the kicker. He doesn't even have custody. Truly doesn't visit this house. The entire storyline about creating space for her is fabricated drama, words spoken for cameras that have no connection to reality. It's possible this narrative was crafted to influence public perception or legal proceedings, to make Kody look like a father trying to maintain relationships when his actions tell a completely different story. The previous house had 5 bedrooms. This one has 4. They didn't expand capacity for family members, they reduced it while increasing square footage in ways that serve entertaining and visual appeal. If the genuine goal was accommodating more family, they would have prioritized bedroom count over staircase drama and multiple living rooms. Every woman who's ever balanced a household budget while watching resources flow towards someone else's priorities understands exactly what's happening here. Every mother who's seen her children treated differently than someone else's kids recognizes this pattern immediately. The house isn't lying. The floor plan tells the truth even when the words coming out of Kody's mouth don't. Robyn's adult children get stability, accommodation, and a father figure who structures major life decisions around their comfort. They get to stay home well into their 20s without pressure to leave, without criticism about independence, without the tension that Kody's other adult children experienced at identical ages. They get a $2.1 million declaration that their needs matter most. Meanwhile, Truly gets a camera-ready lie about bedroom space that doesn't exist in a house she doesn't visit, purchased by a father who doesn't have custody. The contrast isn't just unfair, it's evidence of exactly where Kody's priorities have always been, spelled out in square footage and bedroom counts. The Sister Wives community woke up fast when details about this property started circulating. Those Facebook groups lit up, the Reddit threads exploded, text chains among longtime viewers went into overdrive because this purchase encapsulates everything that's frustrated fans for years. The hypocrisy isn't just visible anymore, it's documented in property records and environmental reports. Viewers who watched Robyn and Kody isolate for months over respiratory concerns are now watching them move next to an industrial dust source. The mental disconnect is too glaring to ignore. Either the COVID protocols were medical theater designed to control family dynamics, or this property purchase represents reckless disregard for the exact health vulnerabilities they claimed justified so many painful decisions. There's no middle ground that makes both things true. The bedroom lies hit differently because they're so easily disprovable. Kody can say whatever he wants about space for Truly, but anyone who can count to 4 understands the math doesn't work. The performance feels insulting to viewers who've invested years following this family story. We're supposed to believe this is about accommodation and reconciliation, when the floor plan itself contradicts every word. The double standard for Robyn's adult children versus Kody's other kids has been visible for seasons, but this purchase makes it undeniable. You can't expand a home specifically to ensure 3 20-something adults never have to leave while claiming you treated all the children equally. You can't pressure some kids toward independence at 22 while creating luxury accommodations for others at 23. The evidence is literally built into the structure. And then there's the environmental justice angle that's resonating with viewers who understand what it means to live near industrial operations. Low-income families often end up in these situations without choice because proximity to environmental hazards makes property affordable. But Robyn and Kody voluntarily purchased into this scenario for $2.1 million, while claiming their respiratory health was too fragile for COVID exposure. The irony has viewers incredulous. Here's the prediction that's gaining consensus in viewer communities. They'll move again within 5 years, probably sooner. Once Miss Princess starts experiencing the reality of living near an active cinder mine, once the dust accumulation becomes undeniable, once the health complaints start surfacing, they'll be house hunting again. Another fresh start, another new beginning, another property that's somehow the answer to all their problems until it isn't. This will be move number 9 or 10 in what's now 16 years on television. The pattern is established. Every couple of years, there's a new location that's going to solve everything. The issues supposedly get left behind with each move, except they never do because, as Robyn herself admitted, you take your pain with you wherever you go. Viewers are tired of the cycle. They're exhausted by the lies that unravel under the slightest scrutiny. They're frustrated by the favoritism that's become impossible to deny. And they're increasingly vocal about calling out the contradictions between what's said on camera and what the documented evidence reveals. This property purchase just handed the community a case study in everything that doesn't add up about Robyn and Kody's narrative. So here we stand, looking at a $2.1 million property that tells a story its owners never intended to reveal. This isn't just about square footage or bedroom counts or environmental hazards. This house is a mirror reflecting every contradiction, every broken promise, every priority that Kody and Robyn tried to hide behind carefully crafted camera narratives. The health hypocrisy matters because it exposes how flexible their principles become when personal desires are involved. Respiratory concerns severe enough to justify family separation during COVID somehow evaporate when a beautiful property catches their eye. even when that property sits next to an industrial dust source known to cause the exact conditions they claim to fear. The contradiction isn't accidental, it's revealing. The bedroom mathematics matter because they expose the lie Kody told about creating space for Truly. He looked straight into that camera and performed concern for a daughter he doesn't have custody of in a house that doesn't have room for her, while expanding accommodations for adult children who already consume his attention. It's manipulation disguised as family values, and the floor plan proves it. The double standard matters because it crystallizes what longtime viewers have watched unfold for years. Some children get million-dollar investments in their comfort and indefinite housing. Others get pushed toward independence, criticized for needing support, and offered camera-ready lies instead of genuine relationship repair. The favoritism isn't subtle when it's literally built into the architecture. The property's troubled history matters because it reveals what happens when image trumps substance. 5 owners in 22 years. Multiple uses as rental or vacation property. Environmental concerns that keep residents from settling long-term. These were knowable facts before purchase, but the visual appeal, the showcase potential, the ability to claim fresh start on camera apparently outweighed practical concerns about livability. Every woman who's balanced a household budget while watching resources flow elsewhere understands what this purchase represents. Every mother who's seen her children treated differently than someone else's kids recognizes the pattern instantly. Every person who's been told one thing while observing completely different actions knows exactly what's happening here. This house won't be their last home. The pattern is too established, the foundation too unstable. Within 5 years, probably less, there will be another property, another fresh start narrative, another set of reasons why this location didn't work out. Miss Princess will develop concerns about air quality. The environmental reality of living near the mine will become undeniable, and the cycle will repeat with new square footage in a new location, solving problems that were never really about geography in the first place. The Sister Wives community sees it clearly now. The receipts are in property records, environmental reports, and simple arithmetic. No amount of camera-ready performance can change the documented facts. This $2.1 million purchase just became Exhibit A in understanding where priorities actually lie, whose needs actually matter, and what happens when image management collides with easily verifiable reality. So what do you think? Will Robyn and Kody actually stay in this house long-term, or are we watching Fresh Start number 9 in what will inevitably become a pattern of 10, 11, 12? And which contradiction bothers you most? The COVID hypocrisy, the bedroom lies about Truly, or the blatant double standard for Robyn's adult children? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Tap that like button, hit subscribe, and keep those notifications on because trust me, a fresh video is already queued up, and something tells me the next round of Sister Wives revelations will be even juicier than the last.